Hello and welcome back to Artist's Mindset. I'm your host Martina, and in today's episode I would like to talk about reparenting ourselves. So this topic came up very naturally for me recently because I've been reflecting a lot about how I grew up and how I was raised and all these kind of things, that you usually do around New Year's. And as I was reflecting, I had a friend of mine kind of talk about different fears that she had and how she realized a lot of the fears that she holds are actually not her own. And that made me realize that I probably do the same thing. And I grew up in Czech Republic, which is part of, geopolitically, we are Eastern Europe, I think. We are proud Slavic people. But of course, geographically, we are Central Europe. So everything's a bit mixed up, but it's a very conservative, typical culture you can imagine. So, when my parents started to realize in my teenage years that I really probably want to become an artist or something on that sort, they weren't very happy. And it's not that they were not happy that they have a daughter that can be creative and do creative stuff and preserve her inner child. I think it was more of fear that I won't be able to have enough money to make a living and take care of myself and struggle. So, they did their best with the circumstances they had, but I always rebelled as a teenager, saying and especially thinking that I'm never gonna be like my parents, I'm never gonna be like my mother. So boring and, always thinking about money and stuff. And now I realized, as I was reflecting, that I actually behave a lot like my mother and think in certain ways like I'm sure she does. And it's not a bad thing necessarily, but I think it is important to realize that and acknowledge that we can either become our own parents or we can become like our parents. And that's something that has been on my mind a lot because I don't want to be like my parents. And it's not that they're bad people or anything. I think they're amazing and they did their best, and I think they raised me and my siblings really well. And I wouldn't change them. But I'm simply not them, And that's alright. I think it's alright to acknowledge and realize that we are not like our parents, even if we live with them or in the country or in the same place or house even. We are not them. And of course they will try to still, because they will be our parents forever, right? So they will always try to be sort of parental and try to parent us, and try to convince us that some things are just good for us and we should behave or do things a certain way. But it's not always true. And it's not to go against them and, try to prove my point that I'm not like you. But I think it's just really simple to acknowledge that and, realize that we have a choice and we don't have to live like our parents or according to their standards or beliefs. And it's very difficult, especially if you have different beliefs or standards as your parents, like I do. But you cannot deny who you truly are, right? And so you should live your truth. Like I remember, when I was a kid, going back to the fears, I used to take my mother's camera and record these small, silly videos because I wanted to become famous, right? So I needed to practice to become an actress or a singer or whatever. But she was really scared for me because it's not easy to make it as an artist, and most of the people that do it, they struggle. So she projected a lot of her own fears onto me, which discouraged me to become who I am. But now I'm really trying to embrace it, and I think this podcast is also kind of a testament to that, because I want to be a good parent to myself and to my inner child. And together with this realization came another realization, which is that I want to allow myself to do the things that I like, or to do the things that I always wanted to try to do but was too scared to do it, like this podcast or even making videos on YouTube. You know, I always wanted to do it for so many years, but I was just scared, and I always thought that I was just scared of criticism or people criticizing me and stuff. But at the same time, deep down, I knew that if I know why I'm doing this, why should I be scared? Because I have really strong core of why to do it and what do I want to pass on to the people that watch or even just listen. So why would I be scared of criticism? And then this year I realized, whoa, wait a minute, it's not actually me, it's the fear of my mother that was just trying to protect me. And then I realized that I don't want to keep this fear anymore, because it's not mine. And I'm not scared to fail, actually, or succeed. I just want to try it because I really enjoy it. And I think it's part of who I am and a way that I want to expand as a person and as an artist. So I think it's also important to ask yourself, you know, I am allowed to do this. So what I'm gonna choose? Because you always have a choice. You always have a choice. So are you gonna live in fear of failure or criticism, or are you just really gonna follow your heart and support yourself like you would do with your child? Because you can be a really good parent to yourself. I truly believe that. And I really hope and wish for the future that we are gonna have more communities for artists and creatives that are more supportive and welcome new things. Because I think another thing is also to encounter when you try new things, like me now trying this podcast or doing videos on YouTube. I don't think anybody really expected it from my friends or close ones, you know. And it's different things than what I usually do. And so a lot of people might be sort of against it because they are scared. But of course their intentions are good. They're just trying to protect me, you know. So I think it's also important to remember, I really think that a lot of people have good intentions. So try to remember that. And also a lot of people have good intentions, and also you never know who you are going to inspire. So I truly believe this is, you know, very empowering, not just for you, but also for the others. So remember that. You, I think, always are going to inspire somebody. And even if people come and criticize you or don't like what you do or say they don't like it, because maybe they are envious of you, keep in mind that deep down they probably admire you for what you do. They just don't know it yet. They just don't know it. Because they wish they could be brave as you are, to do what you are doing, to follow your heart. But they are not there yet. So really don't stop because of them. And try to focus also on the positive, because I know how easy it is to fall into the negative and focus on the criticism or whoever made a nasty comment on your video or art exhibition or whatever. But focus on the positive and the people that are close to you and support you. And also the people that maybe you don't know yet or haven't encountered, that never reached out. Because I'm sure there is plenty of them. that you inspire. And this episode is sort of, I hope, also an invitation for you. If you never thought about this, I certainly haven't, about reparenting ourselves and allowing ourselves to be our own parents and not actually growing up like our parents. I think there is some wisdom in that, even though it is kind of our teenage selves mainly that think about this stuff of, oh, I'm never gonna be like my parents. I think if you really thought about it, think about it, there is some wisdom and something to be learned. So this was really just an invitation for you to think about it, and I hope it was encouraging and inspiring, and I hope it sparked some realizations in you as well. So please share in the comments or write me a message. I always love to read it when you reach out or write a comment. And I really hope that we can create at least a tiny community around this podcast where we can support each other as artists in trying new things and expanding in unexpected new ways that we wish to expand in. The same way we would do with our little inner child, Like, support them and allow them to do and grow in the way they want and how it truly aligns with them. And I hope this was inspiring. I wish you the best start of the week and the day. And as always, you can follow me on here, YouTube or Spotify. You can also follow me on Instagram if you wish to see more of behind the scenes in my life. And I look very much forward to see you in the next episode. Bye.